Speciality of the northeastern region of India. Now, space today has to be seen differently. For example, in the 19th century, if time was the basis of knowledge, time was the basis of identity, time was power, the 21st century and 20th century are the centuries of space. Space which is an identity, space which is an opportunity, but space could also be a trial. Now, in this perspective, let us look at the northeastern region of India. This space could be geographical, it could be social, it could be political, or it could be epistemological also. Now, in the geographical terminology or those who do regional development in geography, it is told that north is more developed than the south, but it also tells that east is less developed than the west. Now, therefore, the northeastern of region of India symbolizes this contradiction. In terms of being the north, it should have been more developed, but because it is the east, therefore, it is also less developed. Now, it is in this perspective that today I will be discussing about the spatiality of the northeastern region of India. What is the spatiality of it? What kind of spatial relations the northeast had? Space relations are also determined by the geography of it, various parameters of geography, the physiography, climate, drainage pattern, slopes and many more things. But this can also be decided in terms of the geographical locations. For example, northeastern region of India is surrounded by nearly 3 to 4 or 5 sovereign nation states. There is Myanmar in the east, there is Bangladesh in the south, there is Tibet and Bhutan in the north and Nepal in the west. Now, therefore, these are not countries, these are also different political systems, different ideological systems, and at the same time surrounded by these 5 or 6 different sovereign states, its relationship with India is of different type. For example, northeastern India is also ethnically dominated by the people who are, say, some people call them as Mongoloid or Tibeto-Burman. The language that they speak, the culture that they practice is diverse. I will not call it is different, but diverse than what it is in the rest of India. The number of traditional lifestyles, the type of house types that they have, the food habits they have, the language they speak, the beliefs that they have has the stamp of the uniqueness of this region, and that is why this space relationship is also determined by the kind of interaction it had with the rest of India. For example, the myths that are built up in the northeast, the kind of different kind of beliefs, different kind of ideologies, different kind of values that they are practiced has lot of resemblance or continuity with India, but they are also different. For example, the Shankardev movement in the Assam, which is so prevalent, is a continuity, but at the same time the Nagas, the Mizos, the Khasis, the Manipuris and there are Arunachals or even in Assam, the Bodos, the Dimasas, the Karbi people, they have their own uniqueness. But this is where one has to understand whether this region had been isolated or this has been a relatively isolated. We cannot call it completely isolated, but it was relatively isolated. The influences of India or the influences of other surrounding sovereign states did not completely over dominate the cultural plurality that this region had. But for the first time Assam, your mythology did talk of northeast, for example, in Mahabharata there are a lot of references about the Pandavas being there, or there are also the the Krishna myth is also woven. For example, in Manipur valley, the Vishnupriyas and the Meiteis, they believe in the Krishna myth, but at the same time what we have to see is that there are certain type of regional or local or specific the characteristics of that. British were the one who for the first time tried to change this thing after 1826, when the Yang Treaty was done between them. Then large scale external influences came and it tried to bring changes in the space relationship, in the geography of the region, in politics, culture and economy of the region, and since then this region has been characterized by what I call inclusive exclusion and exclusive inclusion. What does that mean? For example, for the British, Assam or Northeast was important for the raw materials, for tea plantation, for petroleum, and also the railway constructions, the amount of deforestation that did go in the northeastern part of India. Under that thing also the spread of Christianity, along with that the modern education system, modern health system was also came with the British. New kind of social classes were really created, and I will call them as the class of the traders, the transporters, and hierarchy of middlemen, the plantation workers, the plantation managers, that were important, but at the same time they really could not develop the infrastructure. The railways, for example, it is very interesting. Most of the railways that were built up in Brahmaputra valley were not done on the basis of effective survey technology, but this was done on the basis of following the elephant path, that became the basis. But at the same time, how it got excluded? Excluded in the sense that what was the modernity project, the modernization, science and technology, modern education could not really incorporate the local characteristics, the regional characteristics, the special characteristics, and that is what I call, for example, the political system that they had. This political system, for example, among the Khasis, they have a system of matrilineality, where female enjoys more power than the rest. They got marginalized. The concept of youth clubs that is prevalent among the Nagas, among the Mizos, among even the Arunachalis, which could have, or the relations of community ownership of property or resources, community use of resources, that could have been the basis of taking something, the kind of biodiversity that they had, the kind of cultural plurality that they have, that really got marginalized, and this is where the speciality of northeastern India is there. Now, after independence, lot of things were expected. I mean, it could have been the project of freedom, the project of modernity or modernization, or project of democracy was really not taking into consideration what the northeastern people had. In fact, they had their own traditional rules and regulations. These traditional rules and regulations are protected only under the 6th schedule of Indian Constitution. Now, 6th schedule of Indian Constitution has certain very positive aspect, but they need to be updated. Now, what actually happened that the new political system, instead of incorporating it, or rather than developing an understanding and dialogue with this thing, it started constructing itself as the other of it, and that is where the northeastern India continuously got marginalized. Now, look east policy is a very welcome decision from the government of India, but look east policy is not looking in the northeast, but looking Southeast Asia through the northeast. Therefore, it becomes a corridor. It does not really take northeastern aspects, northeastern people's culture on board. What it does that, how northeast should be used as a manufacturing or assembly places to interact or to trade with the Southeast Asia. So, Southeast Asia is the destination, northeast becomes the medium, and that is where one has to really understand. The second important aspect of this is that what is the specifics of the northeast? Northeast has a specificity today. Around 51% of the area in the northeastern region is forested, while in case of India it is on 21%. And these forests are not forests in the traditional sense, they are part of the hot spot biodiversity, the amount of flora and fauna it has, and these flora and fauna are part and parcel of the life and living system of the Northeast, but these are also part of their intellectual properties, these are part of their traditional knowledge system. And therefore, physiography should not be seen only in terms of slopes, valleys and plateaus and minerals, but it should also be seen as the basis of their lifestyle, the living systems, and also the kind of traditional knowledge and culture. Similar is about the climate. Northeast India winters, except with certain exception of Arunachal Pradesh, by and large winters are not very severe there. Snowfall takes place only in few parts of Arunachal Pradesh, but rest of them is subhumid area. In terms of the winters are mild, summers are pleasant. Now, these could have been used, climate should have been an opportunity. Northeast, particularly Assam Valley and Barak Valley is known for floods, but now these floods become a kind of tragedy, but these floods could also be used as an opportunity, because in floods a new kind of lifestyle could have emerged. The swamps, the marshes, the area that get inundated nearly 3 to 4 months in a year. Today these can be used as wetlands, development of the aquatic culture which has been having elsewhere. For example, in the Mekong delta also used to get floods, the Southeast Indonesia, Thailand also used to get floods, but how did they convert these into opportunities? I mean the kind of aquatic life could have been developed. You know, the Kaziranga, which is one of the national park of the India, known for the one horn Indian rhino, but like Kaziranga there are many other places which could have been developed. Now, this is where one has to understand how climate could be used as a, I mean the navigation. The Brahmaputra, unlike any other river of India, Brahmaputra is a mighty river. Every round the year it can be navigated, but unfortunately what actually happens that we understand Brahmaputra only because it creates floods. We do not look at it how it can be used for internal navigation, how it can be used for generation of aquatic life, and how it can be used as a kind of new biodiversity resources. Now, in terms of biodiversity, I really want to emphasize more is that it is one of the 17 hot spots in the world. This biodiversity is again related to the people's lifestyle. I mean, among the Khasis, they do not use fertilizer, because they think by using fertilizer this will destroy the indigenous resilience or in situ resilience of the soil and the biodiversity. Now, Northeastern India, the efforts are being made that they are doing Jhum cultivation. Jhum cultivation is being projected as is environmentally detrimental. Yes, Jhum cultivation, if it is done for the commercial purpose, it could be, but Jhum cultivation, if you do not offer them other opportunity of livelihood, then Jhum cycle get reduced. When Jhum cycle is up to 20 years or 30 years, then it automatically regenerates. But today what actually happening is that new opportunities are not coming, population is increasing. As a result of that, people are forced to make these Jhum cultivation permanent, and that is where the biodiversity is decreasing. That is why the Jhum cultivation is becoming detrimental. But in the by taking the plea of this Jhum cultivation, lot of deforestation is being done for the purpose of mining. Nobody talks of how much deforestation was done for the tea plantations. Nobody is talking of how deforestation was done for the construction of railways, how much deforestation is being done for the commercial forestry, and this is where one has to really understand how much is being done by poaching. There are strict laws against the poaching of the wild animals, but everybody knows that yesterday somebody was telling that 761 one horn Indian rhino were poached for illegal purposes, and that is where one has to really understand that how it should not be left to the government, it should be the civil society must be involved. Now, this is where I really bring another point is that how socio-culturally and how the civil society has to be made part and parcel of the biodiversity preservation. the traditional knowledge enrichment. Northeast India has so much of cultural pluralities. If you really go by strictly by saying the cultural plurality, it is understood that there are more than 173 communities which are different or distinct from each other in Arunachal Pradesh only. There are more than 20 or 21 different communities in Nagaland itself. There are 6 to 7 in Meghalaya itself, 6 to 7 even in Mizoram, and there are many in Assam, in Tripura, in Manipur, even in Sikkim. This one, and they are rich in terms of their resolving the social issues, resolving or the kind of problem that they have. For example, there had been Assam or Northeast have been exposed to repeated time of famines, but the civil society, the youth clubs, the mothers association, the Gambula system, the traditional institutions, the 6th schedule provisions had time and again, they are time tested institutions. But today what actually happening is that with the new democratic systems, what actually happened that they are being used as outdated or they are being seen as hindrances. The best example is that the community ownership of properties of forest should be seen as an opportunity by which a kind of larger participant of society, larger traditional knowledge could have been used. Now, what is the 6th schedule? 6th schedule is basically for the preservation, for the protection, for the enrichment of the culture, cultural capital, traditions of the people. Today, people are thinking that many things are not taking place because 6th schedule is becoming an obstacle. Certainly not. 6th schedule should be seen as an opportunity, 6th schedule should be seen as empowerment, 6th schedule should be seen as a kind of plurality within democratic system. And the Gambula system is basically where the social contract, how people of society, people of village, people of community resolve their conflict, resolve their social problems, and that has to be seen in terms of a opportunity rather than a case of trial. Now, 6th schedule is based on a kind of autonomy. Autonomy is not separation. Autonomy should not be understood as balkanization. Autonomy should be seen as enrichment or vividness or richness of democracy. What they believe is that we have a traditional system of resolving our gender issues, our youth problem, our unemployment problem. This should be seen as a kind of alternatives. I mean they have a common property in terms of forest, in terms of land, and how Gambula system, those people who want certain resources, how they allocate it. It is not legal in strict sense of the term, but it is seen in terms of social contract, social relations, cultural relations. Now, it is also this 6th schedule should be seen how it protects, how it enriches the ways of life. I mean the Northeastern people, they are not linguistically different from each other. They have also their textile designs. Most of the ethnic communities there have different type of house types, different types of the textile design. For example, in Nagas, many people can understand the kind of color combination of clothes, the attire, the headgear people put on. A Lotha is different from an Ao is different from a Konyak is different from Chakisang, on the basis of even the kind of preparation that they make in their kitchen. I mean the Khasi kitchen is known one of the best kitchen that I have ever seen in my life. It is in terms of hygiene and cleanliness, but at the same time this every house is so environmental friendly. Khasi may be poor, but in terms of the house that they have, they decorate this house and they ornament this house with lot of orchids. Orchids are basically the understanding and part and parcel of cultural mosaic of the people of Northeast. Similarly is the case in Assam. In Assam, if you go, I mean the way the Assamese welcome you, the koi or goa that they offer you, the gamacha that they offer you, the hand, the mekhela they prepare, and the kind of textile that they have, the karvis, I mean the kind of shawls that they make, the bags that they make, the jewelry that they make. Northeast India has to be seen in terms of the ways of life. The ways of life extends from social relations, the marriage relations, the food habits, the dresses, the songs and dances. Many people know that Assam only for Bihu. Assam has a very rich called the Kshatriya dance, one of the most classical dance and more vivid and rich than any other things. This is the Manipuri dance, and at the same time there are every community among the Mizos, among the Nagas, in Arunachali, they have also distinct dance style, distinct songs that they sing, and that is where one has to see livelihood has to be seen as a part and parcel of the culture of the people. Minus culture, minus their dance, minus their folk songs, minus their the awareness of biodiversity should be seen in that light. Now, it is unfortunate that Northeast is seen only as a resource, and resource that also natural resource. I mean today you go to Meghalaya, hundreds and thousands of trucks come from Northeast with coal. Before 1998 the trucks used to come with wood. Now, if you go in the 21st century, lots of trucks are loaded with cement. There is no doubt this is an opportunity. Northeast has the resources. There are a lot of petroleum refineries are coming, but we must also see what are the cultural resources that they have. The amount of type of rice is part of their traditional knowledge system, lifestyle. If you go to the weekly markets, the amount of things are available in the market shows how the culture of Northeastern people have preserved this biodiversity and how effectively they are still using it and protecting it. That is the resource in terms of culture that has to be seen, resource in terms of biodiversity has to be seen. Now, the natural diversity that I am talking of, natural diversity in terms of the trees, the flora and fauna, the plants, the orchids. It is really very tragic to say that Northeast is rich in orchids, but except a place in Arunachal Pradesh, there is no orchid research center. There are ICSSR libraries, there are ICAR centers there. They are basically doing commendable jobs, but they should also look at what are the traditional ways things have been using. For example, bamboo, many people think bamboo is important for paper, bamboo is important for house making, bamboo is useful only for furniture. Please, bamboo is also part and parcel of the food habits of the people of the Northeast. The bamboo pickles, different type of bamboo preparation that they make has to be seen in that light, and the way they use it has to be seen that how rich and diverse the culture of the Northeastern India is that. Now, it is in this backdrop I really want to say that in terms of geographical area, though it has around 2,62,000 square kilometer of area, but this area should not be seen as in geography in terms of its length and width. It should be seen in terms of the opportunity that it offers. Assam, large part of Assam and Barak Valley can 3 crops per year can be cultivated. Therefore, the operational geographical area is much more than what the actual geographical area is there. Same thing is that Assam's floods are known for floods, but please, Madhuri, which is one of the biggest riverine island, only one crop comes there, but the one crop can give you sustenance so much that it can really enrich. Therefore, the geographical area should not be seen only in terms of the its length and width, but it also be seen in terms of how many opportunities it offers or how many ways it can be used within a given agriculture year. Population of Northeast India is again a very big tricky issue. What actually happening is that large part of population dynamics in the region have come up from without. There are people from neighboring countries, they are coming up. Now, what actually happening is that there are lot of cultures are being threatened. One must really understand that Northeast should not be seen at the receiving end of the influx of population. Similar kind of things, some of the positive aspect of Northeast India is that which we must take off. Northeast has a very good healthy gender relationship. 956 as compared to India's 940 should be seen. At the same time, as I told you, forest is much better, much healthier than what the India, in not even half of what the Northeast India has. Similarly, Northeast India, Sikkim has 100% rural electrification. In terms of literacy, Mizoram is very close to the Kerala, at times it was on the top of it. At the same time, it has 6,712 square kilometer area under national parks, that must be seen. There are wildlife sanctuaries there, 15,598 square kilometer of area is there. There are areas 3,86,900 hectare of area is in the Zoom cultivation, that must be seen as an opportunity, and also 5.88 lakh hectare of area is under water bodies. These water bodies should be used for tourism development, for the development of biodiversity, for the development of new kind of opportunities for this area. To sum up, I will say that what actually happened, that Northeast should not be seen as geographical, Northeast should be seen as a kind of diversified opportunity, a knowledge system. It is also seen a kind of opportunities are also not that we have to teach to them, rather we need to learn. Please accept them as equal. Some in certain indicators they are much ahead of us than what the rest of India is, and it is there. This approach should be the basis of the Look East policy, rather than using Northeast as a corridor to interact or to go beyond. If that happens, then it will be not only loss of India, it will be a civilizational loss, because Northeast India is the cultural repository, Northeast India is the intellectual repository, Northeast India even a technological repository. The kind of techniques, the way they have, the kind of houses that the Mizos make on 45-60 degree of slope, any engineer from the IITs would really get baffled the kind of they have done it. And it is in this perspective we must also accept that they also have a knowledge system. This knowledge is much more vivid, much more rich. Their lifestyle is more sustainable, which has sustained for so many years. Why is it that today we think that this is not sustainable? So, we have to really relook at our sustainability paradigm also, and Northeast India offers a good opportunity to look at that. Thank you.